Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to go out.
Yeah.
Bell and Company.
Yeah. I love that. It's another edition of Bell and Company. One of my company is over there on the other side of the table. Hi, Libby.
Hi.
How are you?
Heat stroke.
Yeah, you in a kind of a bad mood today.
Oh my God, the sun made me so crabby today.
Look, you're in such a crazy mood. You're stiff. You're not even moving.
Yeah, I'm stiff. I'm almost passed out.
It is for people that don't know and aren't in Chicago, but most of the country's been dealing with this. We're live on a Friday
climate
night,
change.
And it's the week of Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to you. Happy Juneteenth week. I know a lot of people took off. A lot of workers that work with me at my day job, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that it's a holiday because they just started it 2 years ago.
I think so, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, everybody. I'm wondering why nobody showed up to work. I'm like, oh, duh. So did you celebrate?
Oh yeah, I celebrated. Had a beer and then I passed out as you.
That's what you do. You can go to any parades or anything?
No.
I don't know if they. I mean, I know they've had a bunch of celebrations like events. I don't know if they had an actual parade.
I don't
But
know.
it is coming up. Are you still wearing those on your chest? Let's see.
Oh yeah, the Pride Parade. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up at the end of the month on I think the 29th or 30th. I know you're excited about that. Are you going to be the Grand Marshal?
If they asked me to, yeah, why not?
Oh, you would have known by now. They would have already asked you. They plan
Yeah.
that thing years in advance.
Yeah.
So.
I don't care. It doesn't offend me. I'm not gay, but
the whole
it's
Pride
fine
Month
with
thing,
me.
Juneteenth. So we're a lot of reasons to celebrate and get heat stroke from being out there drinking because it's like 95 degrees this week in the Chicago area. Because we are live on a Friday right now. If you're listening live, it is Friday night, and it's not as bad. Tomorrow's supposed to be in the mid 90s again. So us Chicagoans aren't really used to that. I know it gets hot in the summer, but not for like weeks on end. It's been hot for like
called climate
weeks.
change.
You keep saying that, Livy, you and all your activists. I think it's just natural.
No, it's not supposed to be
this
this
cycle.
hot.
I mean, people say that, but I mean, I remember 10 years ago, people were falling down dead just walking outside because it was like 110.
It's not supposed to be this hot in Chicago. We're in the Midwest. We're not on,
We're not in Florida.
We're not in Florida.
But yeah. So anyway, it's been kind of rough for people who don't like the heat. Especially Libby. You want to tell your story before we have our guest on?
Well, it's embarrassing, but I will.
I want to hear it. You're not moving. You got to move a little bit. There you go.
So
what now?
I'm stiff from the weather.
Yeah.
So I rode the bike to the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Walgreens.
Yeah.
And I was in line and I was standing
You're on meds? Why am I not surprised you're on meds, Libby?
It was for birth control, but that's another story. Okay. So
the other dummies aren't having any sex with Libby.
No, it's been a dry season, if you know what I mean.
It got a little dry. Oh, Lord. This is a clean show, Libby. Anyway, so what happened to Libby?
So I got in line behind this tall lady, and I know it was a lady. And once she got to the counter, I stepped up behind her, and some old guy just cut in front of me. And he's like, whoa, I was here first. And I said, I didn't see you. And he said, I was sitting over there. And I said, I didn't see you sitting there. And I didn't know you were there first. So I was really, really livid because
you were arguing with an old man. The dummy was arguing with an old man.
And then I was really heat stroking, really hot and sweating. And I was just livid. And I threw a Band-Aid box at him and I left.
You threw something at the guy?
Yes.
Man, Libby, I know you got a little bit of an edge to you, but I didn't think you'd be throwing stuff in a store.
Well, he just walked up and I said, I didn't see you. Sorry. The lady was in front of me.
But you didn't get thrown in the clink, did you?
No, I left. I said, okay, call the police. And
I guess I would have known. I would have had to go get you, huh?
Yeah. So
that was Libby's experience with the heat and the humidity.
I stayed 20 minutes and I rode the bike around for 20 minutes.
Why? Just to make sure they weren't coming for you?
No, because I want to know about my prescription. So I went back there. The clerk didn't say anything, but I got my own karma here because they didn't have my
they didn't have your prescription. Oh my gosh,
medication in stock.
No wonder you're so edgy, a little stiff.
So that was my own karma.
Well, I wonder if the box hurt
You
him.
reap what you sow, people.
I guess you're gonna end up. You're gonna end up. The radio stunt's gonna be bail Libby out of jail.
Throw everything at her. She deserves it, really.
I guess. So anyway, see, that's you're a little irritated by the heat, then I guess.
Oh yeah, and then I was riding the bike home, and I had to stop.
Yeah, Libby's not rich
down.
enough to have a car. She's a dummy. She doesn't drive.
So the heat got to me. I was sweating. My stomach was hurting. My face was all red. I had to sit down in the grass for a couple minutes, and then I got to pedal home. But I made it home, and the minute I got home, I laid on the couch.
So you're okay for the show. You're gonna hang out for the whole hour. Not gonna pass out on me, are you?
I took a shower and then drank some tea, and I feel better.
Good.
But I'm just still kind of wacky about it.
Libby's all right. Well, you look okay. You look okay.
I was out of it. Believe me, I was really frazzled.
You maybe celebrated a little too much Juneteenth. There's a little bit of a hangover, maybe.
Yeah, The Hangover. Yeah, that's a good movie.
No, it's just hot.
It's hot, It's
I like the heat, but not the humidity.
Oh boy!
Like I lived in Las Vegas on the radio, actually. Another radio station, not Intellectual Radio, but a station kind of similar to this. They were one of the original people streaming, and a little bit of video here and there, but not really.
They were ahead of their time, huh?
Yeah, they were, because this was in the mid, like before 2010. It was like 2005. So
right.
Anyway, it's hot there. It gets to 110 for like a month, maybe even almost 2 months straight. But you know what? You don't feel it as bad. I mean, you do. Heat is heat, but you don't feel like sweaty and sticky and nasty like you do
today
here.
Today was a nightmare.
Yeah, like today it was just all this humidity.
I was worrying that I would have to get an ambulance. It was that bad.
I know it's rough here, but anyway. So it's Juneteenth week. We're here on Fridays and Saturdays, and it looks like we're going to do Fridays and Sundays. Sunday. Hey, you know the guy that did that recording? I'm sure you've heard the recording. A lot of people have.
Oh, yeah.
It's
staple of your childhood.
Yeah, but it's like about drag strip racing. Yeah. That guy was from Hammond, Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And he was kind of famous.
Same as you, huh?
Well, I was born in Hammond, Indiana. He actually worked in Hammond, Indiana. But nobody's supposed to know my real. This is my alter ego. Don't you know that? My radio career and name and everything.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, I'm from the Midwest for sure. I lived in Vegas and Iowa, but I'm pretty much always been here, and a little bit in Florida, but more visiting and working temporarily. But anyway, back to the story. So, it's hot.
Yeah,
what we're saying, and the humidity is definitely a lot worse here in the Midwest than like Florida, the South Carolina, where my brother's in North Carolina, all down there, Georgia. I mean, they got swamp coolers, I think they call them. I think they're in Louisiana too.
Oh,
and that help. Like, it's not a regular air conditioning system, but anyway, they know how to deal with it. I don't think we do, because we don't get this all the time.
Exactly, climate change, people.
But we're here.
You can heckle me all you want.
Yeah, we're here. It isn't the climate change. Stop it.
I'm waiting for the Band-Aid box.
It's natural, though. Where's your Band-Aid box? Here, throw this at me. Throw this at me.
I'm waiting for someone to pelt me.
No, seriously. It's going to happen regardless of what we do. I mean, maybe we made it worse. Sure. We're putting all that toxin in the air. I get it.
It's the most dirtiest thing on the planet.
I get it, but it isn't just the oil. It's all the other chemicals we use on things,
Yes.
Pharmacies. Remember there was a company by my house that they closed down because they were putting some fluorine or chlorine or something in the air.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was causing cancer, and people, were complaining.
But anyway, that's the life in the Midwest, and we got to deal with heat and humidity, which sucks. But we are having a good week on Juneteenth anyway. And it's also the week after Father's Day. And what else is going on? I forget what else is going on.
Gay Pride, woohoo!
Oh, yeah, Gay Pride is this whole month. And like I said earlier, the parade is at the end of the month. I think it's either the 29th or 30th. You could check if you're in Chicago. I know a lot of famous celebrities come to it, because it's one of the bigger ones. There's New York, Chicago. I think LA has a big one. San Francisco has a big one. They do something in Las Vegas, but I don't remember what it was. I think it's a parade.
I haven't been to Vegas ever.
It's just the clubs. I think they do the clubs there, like big events at clubs. But anyway, back to the story. So it's a fun week, and here we are here on Fridays and Sundays, Like I said a minute ago, at 8. So unless that changes, everybody can tune in live, and then of course it becomes a podcast after that. So we're live on video on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. Not every time. I just like to
we do it live.
Have special. Right. We like to do it live. Exactly. And then, of course, on IntellectualRadio.com, the website has the video and the audio. And then, of course, all the podcast sites. So that's where you can find us when you want to listen. And then, of course, right here, we're live through Intellectual Radio and YouTube and Facebook. So we got a lot of places for people to find us. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, back to the story. We do have a guest.
Woohoo!
And it's a guest that we've talked to in other shows and other stations.
Yes.
But I don't think he got into what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's introduce him, and he can tell us a little about his background. He's been waiting very patiently. Are you sweating over there? Did you pass out on us? Let's welcome Mr. Scott Skarupa to the air. Hey, Scott.
Woohoo!
Hello, everyone. Hello, Liz and Mario. You guys are awesome.
Yes, that's Libby.
I'm Libby Tartars, damn
Hey,
it.
wait a minute. Are you okay?
Well, come on, man. Perfect.
You need a drink of water? You all right down there?
It is hot. It is hot. I got the AC on. Yes, without it, I probably would die right now, but I'm alive. Thank you.
We got to see him in a wrestling match. He was a
Yeah.
referee.
Yeah,
We wanted to have you on that week, but you weren't available to come out here. We got to have this guy in the studio, Libby.
Mm-hmm.
We keep talking to him on the phone. He keeps saying he's going to come down here. We never get him down here. We have to airlift
I will
him.
be there very shortly. I told you my schedule. I'm off on Sundays.
There you go. You can be in studio with us on Sundays, or we'll have him at an event with some video we can beam over. But anyway, so Scott, tell us a little bit about your background, then we'll get into the stuff we want to talk about, wrestling stuff. How did you get involved with being a referee? Let's start there.
Oh, that's simple. Back then the internet wasn't so big, and you got lucky to meet anyone that was in the business. And when I found out my real dad, I was 12 years old, he was a professional wrestler, and his name was Friar Tuck, and he wrestled in 1972 for Dick the Bruiser. And my mom finally introduced him. He's a big guy, and he told me he met Andre the Giant, Haysex Calhoun, Bobo Brazil, Dick the Bruiser, the Crusher. Oh my gosh, that's cool. Then he says my dad was a boxer. Oh wow, so my grandfather was a boxer. And then he told me he was a professional wrestler. And then years later, skipped the whole thing. I bought a book, and I still have it, How to Get in the World of Professional Wrestling. I bought it in '94. So I wrote letters to a bunch of companies, including WF, WW, AWA, and all these companies. I finally got a phone call from Windy City Pro Wrestling, guy named Mike Gratchner. And he's like, got your letter, Scott. Would you like to come over for a meeting? Sure. So I came in about February 1995 for the meeting, and it was in the southeast side of Chicago called Windy City Wrestling, the original WW. And I sat down. He told me this and that. And I said, think about it.
The WWF you were talking about, right?
Well, this is the original WW. It was called Windy City Wrestling, then later Windy City Pro Wrestling.
Oh,
This
gotcha.
is Windy City Pro Wrestling in Chicago.
Oh, gotcha.
It was a pretty
Chicago.
big company. Yes. So 1 year later, I called back and I talked about coming in, pay my dues. So 1 year later, I joined April of 1996, and I said, I'll be a referee. Great, we need referees. Yeah, I'm only 5'5". Why not? And I'm taking the bumps, I'm taking the bruises. I had Christopher Daniels trained me, Mike Anthony, Steve Oz, Terry Al. These guys all wrestled for the WF at least once or maybe twice.
You could jump under them, so when they're doing all their crazy things, you go right under them, so you won't get hit.
Oh, it was fun, but they had to teach me these things. I had to take the bumps. I had to get body slams. I had bruises coming on. I had to do 100 squats. My legs were killing me in the training. I just want to be a referee. No, get in here. Oh, man. So my first show was in October of 96 in Waterloo, Iowa. 1,000 people were there in Waterloo, Iowa. Coca Beware was the main event. I was scared to death. And a guy named Steve Kane grabbed me and slapped my face. Calm down.
1,000 people? That's a big for being like a smaller event. That's kind of big.
That was big. Back then, 1,000 people. It was in Waterloo, Iowa. I can't remember the place. It was October of 96. And it kept going on, kept continuing big shows at Baltimore Racetrack. My biggest attendance was probably about 1,500 people in Padilla, Missouri. I can't remember. It was an outdoor place, August 1999 or July or August. Greg Hammer Valentine was there, Tatanka, and it was a big event. And I was the only referee. And I was so hot, I almost passed out in the ring.
Oh, we were speaking about the heat. Speaking of the heat, the referee almost lost it. I used to do. I was on the radio in Independence, which is right near Waterloo. But the only thing I can think of that was a big venue there was the college stadium. You maybe were in the college, the football stadium, maybe, or basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was Waterloo, though. But anyway, so you did that back in the 90s, and then fast forward to a little bit closer to now. Have you been doing it the whole time? The last, what is that, almost 30 years?
On and off, many other companies. I worked the Road Wrestling Zone. I met the Road Warriors. And then other companies owned by Sonny Rogers. He wrestled for the other big companies. He was a jobber. And I worked in the 2000. Then Mike Bonomo's WWA, World Wrestling Association. and then IUWA, again, EWF, Prime Wrestling. Then for 2 years, I worked for OVW between 2003 and 2005 down in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's where I didn't work, but I met John Cena, I met Kane, I met Mick Foley. That was so fun being at Ohio Valley Wrestling between 03 and 05.
So wait a minute.
Those guys, they were so nice.
Wait, that would be before they got into the WWE or WWF, right?
Oh, no. Well, John Cena was already on TV. John Cena, this is in 03 and 04 when I met these guys. They were already made it. But they go back now when OVW was just a farm system, and I got to meet him at the Davis Arena. Like, hey, good to see you. I've been a fan for a long time. And Mick Foley had come by. Kane was a big man. Again, John Cena was a very polite man. I got to meet Nick Dinsmore. He was called Eugene later on. And I got to work with Matt Morgan, who's now a mayor. I forgot what city in Florida right now. Matt Morgan was down there. And many other guys that made his WE over the years.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. So those
Punk. When I quit,
wait, those leagues.
CM Punk, and he was in that company too.
I want to know about those leagues. Those leagues are. That's where everybody gets started. Like you called it the farm leagues, but what is that like? I guess like minor league wrestling, kind of, sort of.
Right. Right now, OVW is not the connection with the W anymore. It's now in Orlando, Florida, called NXT. OVW is now run by Al Snow, former WWE superstar.
What was the one in Texas?
It's every Thursday on YouTube, and I watch it every. It's in the Davis Arena. One day I'm going to check it out because they'll probably remember me. I met Al Snow 3 times. He should remember me. And I'll go check it out probably sometime.
We talked about this.
It's at the Davis Arena.
We talked about this off the air. The big, because they just did a movie about the brothers. I can't think of the name of the brothers.
The Von Erichs.
Yeah, that's it. Libby knows the Von Erichs. They just did a movie about them. What league would that have been? Because that was in Texas. That was like in Houston or Austin, I think.
That was run by the late Fritz Von Erich, the father. Mm-hmm. It was called WCCW World Class Championship Wrestling.
Oh, there we go.
I used to watch it.
And that's before WWF even got established, right?
That was 84 was the same year Hogan beat the Iron Sheik and got wrestling going. The same year, Kerry Von Erich captured the NWA World title against Ric Flair. And even though that was big, mostly in Texas, that was good for national wrestling, but of course, WF at the time had more major exposure for Hogan. He had more major exposure, MTV, he had USA, he had his thing going on.
Well, wait, NWA. Talk about that. The NWA was a league, because didn't that come back during WWE days where they had, like, remember Hulk Hogan was in it? What was that one called?
Well, Hogan never really worked for the National Wrestling Alliance. The NWA was established. The first champion was Frank Gotch, and he beat George Hockenschmidt in 1905. The NWA was actually the first company, yes.
Okay, but what was the one that was...
many other big names over the years, like Lou Thesz, who captured the title for 6 times. Harley Race captured 8 times. Ric Flair, I believe, 7 times. But Hogan never captured the NWA. It's mostly a southern-based company back then in Atlanta, Georgia, southern-based territory.
Oh, gotcha. But that was... What is the one that was the W... I think it was WCW that Hulk Hogan came back and he was wearing black. What was that? Was that? Well, I thought that was NWA.
The history of the NWA. The NWA was bought by Ted Turner in 1988, and then in early '91 he turned to WCW.
Oh wait, Libby just corrected me. Libby just corrected me. It's NWO that was Hulk Hogan was, not the NWA.
New World Order.
That organization, that's when Hogan turned bad in July of '96 at Bash the Beach.
But that was brief, right? That was just like an offshoot.
It was never really a wrestling company. Come on, you guys should know that.
Yeah, I do. Well, the audience might not, so we can talk. But anyway, so back to the story. When the Von Erichs were doing all that stuff, it was before the big, Vince McMahon days of WWF. It was like they were competing at one point, weren't they?
That was a perfect year when Kerry Von Erich captured the NWA World title. The Von Erichs were very big at that time, and it started growing. And then, of course, sadly, they're losing their own people. Like David Von Erich died in Japan. Then Mike Von Erich passed, and then later, I believe Chris died in '91, and then. Kerry gone early '93. That was this. The only left is Mike Von Erich.
Yeah, the Mike.
No,
Mike.
Eric, Kevin.
Or Kevin.
Mike Von Erich. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Mike died.
I'm glad Livy knows what's going on. Scott knows. He's a referee.
It's so tragic of that family.
Yeah.
That was a big family. The movie's great. I don't know how realistic the movie is, but it's pretty. It's got a tragic ending to it. I'll tell you.
I got to meet one of the actors at the McCormick place a few months ago. His name is MGF, former AEW World Champion. He played the character Lance Von Erich on the movie. For
Oh, the
Park.
fake
He was
cousin?
Lance Von Erich in the movie.
No, in the movie that just came
Yeah.
out.
But Lance was a fake cousin. It wasn't even a real Von Erich.
Right.
Oh,
that
I
was
never
the
heard that part.
storyline. People
Yeah.
did believe it back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
And I got to meet the actor MJF in Chicago. He was very cool.
We should just let Libby do this, and you and I will just sit here and listen to Libby. How about it, Scott?
The incredible Libby.
Yeah, she knows a lot about wrestling.
I used to watch it when I was a kid.
She's like one of those, master of none, jack of all trades, master of none. She knows a little bit about everything. But anyway, so let's talk about, so you talked about late 90s, early 2000s. When does it evolve into like the rich guy that owns the football team started his deal? That's more recent and within like the last 10 years, right?
Are you talking about the XFL? Vince McMahon only the XFL years ago?
No, not that. No. I'm talking about the league, the other league besides WWE. There's a whole nother league.
Well, there's AEW. Yeah, that's on every Wednesday, Fridays, and Saturdays, owned by Tony Khan.
That's it. Tony Khan. He owns football team. There we go. That's it. So when did that start?
I had no knowledge of Tony Khan owning a football team. Where have I been? When did this happen?
Yeah, no, I could be thinking the wrong guy, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I think he owned the Panthers at one point, or still does.
I check that out. As a wrestling fan, I would have known that a long time ago. Tony Khan's got more money than Vince McMahon, I believe.
Yeah, supposedly.
I know Vince owned the XFL. That was back in 2001, and it bombed.
Yep. Vince owned the XFL. I remember that. There were some Chicago investors in that. I remember that whole thing. Actually, I think it's still around in a much smaller league. I forget what. It's not XFL. It's UFL or something. I don't know. They were just showing games on CW. I forget the name of the league. Anyway, that has nothing to do with wrestling, but we're talking wrestling and Scott. So anyway, so you're a ref. You got in as a ref, but you're also a big fan. I'm sure you watch all the WrestleManias from WWE and WWF, right?
Well, the network, and now of course Peacock, and I watch it once a month. Their pay-per-views. It's called Peacock, right? AEW still does pay-per-views. Like I said, I had a fun in Kankakee out in Illinois. I did a refereeing show. It was awesome.
It was a little too long, but it was exciting.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. But wait, before you get into that, let's talk more about all the evolution here. So we've got the AEWs around. Before that, you had the leagues we were talking about in Texas. Then Vince McMahon obviously was WWF. Yeah. What else is out there? WWE, AEW. Now, of course, you have NXT in Orlando. You have a bunch of independent companies, but I would say the best independent company now is still OVW, which is based in Louisville. They're just being watched. They get about 40 to 50,000 viewers on YouTube. Wow.
And there's lesser companies, but they're independent companies. But the biggest ones are also in Japan, All Japan, New Japan. They still have wrestling going on out there, and it's so huge. Hogan used to wrestle in Japan all the time out there.
What is it? OBW? Like O as in office,
OVW
B as in boy?
in Louisville. Yes, Ohio Valley Wrestling. It's in Louisville, Kentucky, run by Al Snow.
Cool. Now, were you reffing for them at one point too, or no?
Yeah, I did. Between 2003 and 2005, and the owner was his name was Danny Davis. And I used to work in South Indiana in the Armory, some high schools. And like I said, that's where I got to meet John Cena, Mick Foley, and Kane.
Oh, that was that one.
Nick
Okay.
Before he was Eugene, the Boshams.
Don't you pay attention?
List, these guys.
I missed the name of that one. Gotcha. Okay, so we talked about that. That's cool. And what other ones have you been in then? I know you've been in a few. You were just in this one. Now we can talk about Kankakee. You did an event in Kankakee, Illinois that we went to see. Who was that?
Yeah, that was, there was about 100, it looked like maybe 800 people or so, or close to 1,000. You remember how electric it was and crazy? I had the first match, and it was crazy. There was 20 guys in that match, like a battle royal, but a 20-man tag team. I couldn't believe they gave me that match. Oh, was it crazy? But I still did my job, and it was.
They had a lot of refs. There were a lot of refs. It wasn't just Scott. There was like four other refs.
There was four referees total. There was 4 referees that were independent companies. And if you remember, I had the last match before the Battle Royal.
Yes.
And they had me between Steve and Larry Turbo, the Twin Turbos, against Ripper Manson and Terry Allen. The reason why they had me in that match, because we go back in 1996 and 99, Windy City Pro Wrestling. And I worked for them years ago in the 90s. And the Turbos and Terry at one time were on TV in the WF years ago. They're all on TV. Not Ripper Manson, but Terry Allen. Terry Allen at one time in the 90s. If you go on YouTube, check out Motley Crue on Monday Night Raw. They were on Monday Night Raw in 1999. And you see this guy going on stage going, yeah. And Andrew Martin Test, this past years ago, picked up Terry. Hey, get out of here on the stage like he's a security guard. It was Terry Allen. He was on there with Motley Crue.
That's pretty cool.
That guy was part of Motley Crue.
So what about the event? Back up a second. The one in Kankakee. What organization was that again? What'd you say it is? Because it's local, obviously.
That was a bunch of them. And I never worked with those companies until they called me and said, hey, you want to work with us? Yeah, sure. It was POW, P-O-W-W.
That's it.
PSW, and there was one more. I can't remember. There were 3 companies. So basically, we all worked for 3 companies on one day. It was all for the late William Robinette, the ring announcer.
Yeah, I remember.
I've heard the name before.
Yeah, William Robinette was the ring announcer for Windy City Pro Wrestling. Very big man. He died about 4 years ago. His son, it was a tribute to his son. You saw him come in the last part of the Battle Royal. And William Robinette in 2016 actually won a contest. And or 2015 it was, he became the Santa Claus in the White House, and he danced with Barack Obama. And he had his 15. I said, your dad. I told his son, your dad had his 15 minutes fame more than any of us. He was
that's pretty cool.
CNN as Santa Claus, Christmas of 2015, dancing with Obama in the White House and Tom Hanks. I said, your dad made it right there as Santa Claus. He was our ring announcer years ago, William Robinette.
And for what organizations though? Not WWE or WWF.
No,
but the independents.
with us. In the 90s, Windy City Pro Wrestling. He was with us, Windy City Pro Wrestling.
Oh, the whole time he was known for Windy City Pro Wrestling. Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, because that was a big organization that just. When did that disband? You said it a second ago. Say it again. When did they finally stop being in existence?
Windy City started from '87, and I think it went out in 2010.
Okay.
And there's a new owner, but the company's not really blasting off. Not compared with in the late 90s, our guys would be on TV working for the WF, like Steve Oz, Mike Anthony, Terry Allen, the Turbos. They all were on TV trying to make it.
Got it.
And they had their spot in Chicago over the years. They tried. They never got a contract, but they tried. Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel, the only one. But he didn't really sign a contract, but he was on TV more. Christopher Daniels, one of my trainers, is now working for AEW. He's backstage,
that's awesome.
Producer, and he's also on TV occasionally. The Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels.
All right, I'm going to take us back a little bit now. Speaking of that organization, Windy City Pro Wrestling, didn't Bobby the Brain Heenan have something to do with that one, or was that another one before it?
Bobby Heenan started, I believe, in Indianapolis. I think World Wrestling Association, the same company my dad, but they never met. And I think it's back in the late 60s, I'm not sure. But then Bobby Heenan was spotted, and of course, he worked for the AWA organization with Vern Gagne, then the NWA, and I believe him back in the AWA. And of course, Vince McMahon liked him, and it was, hey, come work for me and make more money. So finally, early 85 or so, Bobby Heenan joined the WWF.
He finally joined WWF. I swear he was at Windy City Pro Wrestling, or he's from here or something. He had something to do with Chicago. I don't remember exactly the story.
Yeah, he worked in the amphitheater, yes, in the 70s, late 70s, and the early 80s in the Chicago amphitheater. He was a manager, I believe, for the Blackjack Lanza, Blackjack Mulligan. And
that's what it is. There we go.
Yes, he was a manager up here in Chicago, and the amphitheater. Then he went back down to Indianapolis with Dick the Bruiser, on and off until NWA, the AWA.
But he wrestled. He wrestled, or he was just always like a manager and an announcer. He wrestled, right?
He wrestled. He wrestled first, but then they thought this, too dangerous. And then one day he started being funny. They go, "You're more suitable as a manager. You're funny. That's your calling." You're right. Just be a manager, work the crowd, and you got heat, man. You're believable because he's such a smart aleck to the crowd. Hey, you humanoids, you got no brain, and that would just drive the people nuts. He was so good. I met Bobby Heenan once back in 2005. You want to tell what he said to me?
Hello?
It's no big deal. I had him send an if-I-10 picture. I go, hey, you know what? My mom liked you. Go ahead and just put to Sandy. My mom liked you. So he put, Sandy, thanks for last night. Yeah.
On your autograph?
Okay.
Oh, that's wrong.
I love you, Bobby.
Oh, R.I.P. Bobby Brain Heenan. That's awesome. I had a chance to do a pre-interview with him for the Loop radio station, but I never met him or anything. But that's awesome. You gotta write that down and tell that story every time. Bobby the Brain Heenan gave me an autograph. Thanks for last night, Mom. Or Sandy, whatever your mom's name is.
She's got the 8x10 picture. I gave it her.
Oh, we're calling you Scott the whole time. Do you have like a stage name when you're a rep, or do you just use your name?
Squeaky
Scott.
Stern. Scott Squeaky Stern. No relation.
You're Scott what? Stern? Say it again.
Scott Squeaky Stern, but no relation to that guy.
Squeaky? Is he saying
Squeaky.
Scott Squeaky Stern?
That sounds like it to me. Yeah.
Why?
Yes, that's the ERN. You can call me Squeaky.
Okay, that's funny. Anyway, so we'll just call him Scott. Scott the referee, just like Scott the engineer from
Squeaky.
Speaking of
You call me
Stern.
Squeaky. Scott Squeaky.
All right, we're
You
gonna
can
call
call me
you Scott Squeaky. But Bobby the Brain, didn't he throw chairs into the ring and stuff? I know, or he fought with Jimmy the Heart or something. I don't remember what made him
He also used to work
controversial.
For WCW. He went to WCW, I think, around late '95. He joined WCW just an announcer. He didn't want to manage anymore. He just became an announcer all the way to the company folded in March 2001, and that was it. Then appearances, autographs. Like I said, I met him, and he died of throat cancer. September 17th, 2017.
Yeah, more like I was going to say, not that long ago. Well, it's like 7 years ago already. Damn, time's flying. But okay, so when he wasn't he the one that confronted Hulk? I can't remember who tried to throw a chair at somebody big. It was either Hulk or not Andre the Giant.
Bobby
But
Heenan did with Hogan was, I believe, sometime in February of 1987. If you remember, check it out on Piper's Pit. And Hogan came out, and then Jesse Ventura was Jesse Bobby Ventura was on there saying, you produce Hogan, I'll produce Andre the Giant. Piper brings Hogan, Jesse brings Andre, and Bobby Heenan comes in. Whoa! What's going on? And then Bobby Heenan started that feud between Hogan and Andre at Piper's Pit for WrestleMania 3.
Oh, that's was WrestleMania 3. Now I remember. And what did Jimmy Hart have to do with the whole thing? I mean, he didn't announce. He managed people, right? He didn't announce with Bobby the Brain, did he?
Remember, Jimmy Hart was just a backup singer for the Gentrys. Prancing and a dancing, keep on dancing. He was one of the backup singers for the Gentrys.
But wasn't he also the Hart brothers? Aren't they related to Jimmy Hart?
Yeah, not the Hart Foundation. You're thinking he managed the Hart Foundation.
That's what it is. He managed the Hart Foundation. There it is.
I met him twice. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so back to he died, but we're talking about Bobby Brain. But again, I thought he did something that he got in big trouble. It wasn't 87. It was more closer to the end here when he was probably with WCW or no WWE.
Well,
I'm sorry.
History. Jimmy started, I think, with Memphis with Jerry Lawler. Then he goes to the NWA, and then he goes to the WWF, now WE in the mid '80s. He was at the first 9 WrestleManias. Then he sells out, goes to WCW with Hogan. And so the company folded in March 2001. And after that, I think he started a company called the XWF. It didn't last long, the XWF.
I remember that.
He worked for TNA, back in the WE in 03. They had some briefs. Yeah, Jimmy Hart here on TV having some skits. Yeah.
You're talking about Jimmy Hart. I'm asking back again. I'm still getting on Bobby the Brain Heenan. I thought he did something big, like he fought with Gene Okerlund or something. Mean Gene, the other announcer. I don't remember.
Well, I don't remember Mean Gene, but I remember, if you check it out, he wore a weasel suit and wrestled the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking. I don't know. There's a lot of events that happen with him that I guess I'm getting mixed up. But again, another legendary guy that like I said, had ties to the Chicago area. And I guess you do as well. You don't do a lot of matches anymore, but you've done them in Chicago as well. You didn't mention Chicago.
I've probably done about 100 shows. It was unbelievable. Many high schools and armories. Between 1996 and then probably 2005, maybe with other companies. World Wrestling Zone was another big company because Steve and Larry Turbo would bring the Road Warriors in, brought Gangrel, Luna Vachon, the late Luna Vachon, a Stone Cold lookalike, even colder. That was awesome with that guy, Mike Austin. And we would be partying at the Hammond Civic Center in Bridgeview, Illinois, Bridgeview Park District. And man, it was just a great time to work for that company. And we would be partying at restaurants and go to clubs.
Wow.
We party like rock stars. Steve and Larry, they had us party like rock stars after shows.
That wasn't in Chicago, though. That was not in Chicago. That was all over other places, though.
Yeah, well, basically, Bridgeview is Illinois, then the Hammond Civic Center. Yeah.
Hammond, Indiana. Close.
Did you listen?
I just meant Chicago, like United Center or something. Or a lot of people used to go to the Allstate Arena.
UIC Pavilion, too.
No, Allstate Arena they were at a lot.
Oh,
I know. I saw
a match at USC Pavilion.
Really?
One time. Yeah.
Okay.
But that
Scott,
was WCW.
Speaking of USC Pavilion, I went there '89.
Yeah, me too.
First time in the NWA. Yeah, they had NWA shows over there a lot over the years.
At the UIC Pavilion.
Yeah.
But what about a Rosemont Horizon / Allstate Arena? Those were. I thought they even had a SummerSlam there or some big one.
I think so.
They just had SmackDown. I think they're.
There you go.
I think they're right now at the Allstate Arena. SmackDown's there right now.
You mean tonight they're on there? I don't know that.
Yeah, they're in Chicago today.
Oh shoot! Okay, so there you go. So there's a lot, but you're not involved with them, and that's the
I
big,
know.
that's the huge ones. That's the. I keep wanting to say WWF still. It's WWE.
WWE. You can get. Oh my gosh. Well, here's a coincidence. That officially started May 6, 2002. Hulk Hogan was the last WWF champion, and then he became the first champion. He was champion when they got that name, the WWE.
Maybe we should tell the story of how or why they changed the name. Why did they change it?
Because the Wildlife Fund got fed up with being compared to them. They was why they're playing the WWF, the Wildlife Fund. Them. They sued Vince McMahon.
They did. So there was a lawsuit. That's what I thought, and then he ended up just
they
changing.
took it to Supreme Court. And one day the jet, I don't know where it was, it flew down. The owner got off, and people were storming the plane. Hey, we're the wrestlers. This is WWF. That's it. He went to Vince, took it to Supreme Court, and McMahon's was saying, okay, we'll get the F out, but no one cares about your panda, man. No one cares about your panda. So the next day, WWE.
Wow, that's wild.
Yep.
Hey, he didn't want to spend billions.
It's Wildlife Fund.
I mean, he just stepped down with some controversy, Vince McMahon. Now we got to talk a little bit about that. But one controversy in the WWF wasn't it between? I don't remember what happened with Jesse the Body Ventura. What didn't he get into a big like on and off camera thing with Hulk and some of the other guys that kind of made him alienated?
Jesse the Body Ventura, he's a warrior. He's his own man. And he was a bodyguard for the Rolling Stones. He was a Vietnam vet.
Yep.
U.S. Navy SEAL. He's been there, done that in real life before wrestling. And then he started the AWA up in Gagne. And then, of course, he sells out, goes to the WWF, now WE, around, I think, 83, 84. He was the announcer with Gorilla Monsoon, the first WrestleMania, 85, and became announcer because he got injured. He had to retire, neck injury, I believe it was.
Wow.
Yeah. Then he did some movies later on, like The Predator in 87. Came back to WF as an announcer. And he became a referee for SummerSlam 88. And years later, as a governor, he was also a referee at the same time as SummerSlam 1999.
Yeah, and they allowed him to do it, right? They didn't have a problem with him, even as an elected official, doing that. That was interesting. He probably had to donate his salary.
He also worked for WCW for a few years, or 1 year, and 1991, I think 92 to 93, he was for the WCW.
Well, I don't know if you heard.
Figure too. I got his action figure.
I don't know if you heard, but his latest is, and that's why I brought him up with the few minutes we got left with you. I want to talk about this. He's been advocating like equality of pay and stuff. He's not really running for anything, I don't think, but he's definitely become more politically active. Have you been following him in these later years, recently?
He got kicked out of a radio studio, I think 6 or 7 years ago. Opie and Anthony, he got kicked out of a radio.
I remember that. Oh, that one got ugly.
Cussing and stuff, and he walked out.
He threatened to kick their butt. What's that?
I respect him. He has attitude. He just bashed Hulk Hogan, saying how I'm not Hogan's friend no more. We were friends until Hogan, the trial, the steroid trial in the early 90s.
I remember that.
Well, the latest thing is he's on all over the news now, and I guess he's got his site or whatever, his streaming channel, talking about how nobody should be a billionaire in the world, or especially in the United States of America. That's his latest, what do you want to call it, platform or whatever he's talking about. And he's been in a lot of interviews saying it. And his reasoning is if you like he said, I did the hard work. I was a Navy SEAL. I went through the bats or the butts, whatever they call the boot camp for the Navy SEAls. And then I was on the bridge crew. It's like, I was on the bridge crew for, Minnesota, as you like to say. And, he was using the jackhammer. He's like, that's a hard job. Those guys should be getting paid a lot more than what they get. That's what he's talking about. Have you heard about any of this?
I respect what he's saying. We all, including working man, hardworking people. We just come slaves their own employer. Like me. I'll stop. But yeah, I get it. Some people become millionaires and billionaires, maybe through corruption, maybe through just, hey, next of kin. But, we got hardworking men. They're not getting that. And, the veterans don't get the respect sometimes. He was a veteran. But we got to remember what planet we're from. Life isn't fair. We're on Earth. It's going to happen.
I agree.
It's a reminder of that.
I mean, yeah, I've always liked him though, because he's kind of been independent. I mean, he was in Minnesota, like one of the only states that allowed like a lot of freedoms. Like I think isn't prostitution still legal in Minnesota?
That was a rumor when he won the election, late '98. They said you want to legalize marijuana prostitution. I never said I want to legalize marijuana prostitution here in Minnesota. I think he put a bad rep on him. He didn't say that, and that was a rumor.
Oh, okay, I thought it was actually legalized before he got there. But anyway, I know he talked about it in interviews. I remember during the campaign. I can't remember. Was he a 2-term governor? Libby, you know?
No, he was one term.
It was just one. It was 4 years.
Okay. Early 03, yeah, 4 years.
Well, anyway, like always, he likes to be in the news. You know, he's always doing these interviews. Like you said, getting kicked out of interviews and studios. And I think he left America or something. Like he's living in
Mexico.
Like he's living in Baja, Mexico or something.
Yeah, he moved. He's like saying, I don't see people. I'm with my wife. I don't blame him. He got some enemies up here. I respect him still. He had the guts to sue Vince McMahon and won a lawsuit because when Vince McMahon started producing his videos that came out in stores like WrestleMania and Survivor Series, not everyone got a paycheck. And whoa, I announced for those companies. I announced for Vince, and he's not paying me royalties. He took Vince to court and got his check for those. He was supposed to do that.
Yeah, he got paid, but I think he owed a lot of back taxes or something.
Yeah, I think
so. He was,
too.
He was being chased by the feds and probably the state of Minnesota. Who knows?
Probably.
But I liked the guy. Always did. I liked him, and you forgot to mention he was an actor for a while. He was in movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously.
Predator,
The Running Man.
Yep. So he was a pretty good actor, but lately he's more of an activist. But you said off here, you think he's leaning more liberal. He's not conservative like I always thought he was. We're more libertarian, I guess, is what you would call him.
I've heard him bash number 45 sometimes, which I don't agree with. That's his opinion.
Oh,
and he coming from the veteran who number 45 respects the veterans. I didn't get what you're saying about that. I don't understand.
Libby agrees with Ventura. She doesn't like the who's running for president.
I don't
Mr.
like
Trump.
Biden either. So don't.
She doesn't like the current president or the one running for president. But we don't need to get political. I'm just saying he's kind of lean.
I miss Ronald Reagan. All right, go on.
Yeah, right. We all missed Reagan. That was the fun times. That's when you were having a good time getting started in late 80s, right? Right when he was at his last year in his term. But anyway, so it was fun talking with you. We'd like to work something out where we have you on more regularly, maybe not every week, but like every couple of weeks. Give us the update of what's going on in the wrestling world and just whatever else is going on in Scott's world. How's that?
We will do that.
And when are you going to come?
Sunday?
When are you going to come meet us in person?
We'll do.
Yeah, when are you going to come meet us in person then? On the Sundays?
When what?
You got to come down here to the studio.
I will probably maybe a couple of weeks. Next Sunday I can't do it, but I'm off next Sunday. So and Sundays and Mondays after. I'll let you know, Mario and Libby, the incredible Libby.
All right. Good talking to you, Scott. That was Scott Squeaky. Is that what he said? Scott Squeaky?
Squeaky.
Call me Squeaky.
Yeah,
Call
just Squeaky. That was Squeaky over there. Thank you for being on. We'll arrange to have you on more often. He's got a lot of cool stories. He says them so fast.
Right.
He's got to fit it all in.
You got to pay
30
attention
minutes. Yeah, he did. Take care, Scott. Bye-bye.
You too, guys.
Bye.
Squeaky. I've never heard him say that. It was his nickname. Did they call his name? No, they don't call the refs names at that event we went to in Kankakee.
I just remember the people behind us going, Scott, Scott, Scott.
Yeah, no, I did hear that because they knew him.
Yeah.
That was his friends.
Right. So I think they might have. I don't know if they know.
But that was a fun event. I mean, it's really loud in there.
It was really long, but it was fun watching the whole action.
They had to get it all in. They had the Royal Rumble with 40 wrestlers or something?
70 people.
Or 70, whatever the hell. There was some huge number.
Not at the same time. They brought them all.
Right, no, a few would come in at a time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was really fun, actually. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was too long, but it was exciting. I was paying attention to the slaps and people getting thrown out of the ring, and the lady with no eyebrows.
Yeah, I was fixated by one of the wrestlers, I don't know, ring assistants or whatever. Yeah, maybe she was wrestling too, because she did get in the ring a little bit, but she had no eyebrows. Yeah. She had like a half an eyebrow. It was really weird.
Look at that. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to watch the match.
I don't know. She was right there. She kept coming out of the thing and holding up the signs and trying to get people to root for her guy, and it was just weird. But anyway, that's what I noticed about her. That was what I was fixated on the whole
No
time. Is like,
eyebrows, yeah.
what happened to her eyebrows? It didn't look like they were shaved off. Like maybe she was in an accident or something and
I
got
don't
hit
know.
in the
I
eye.
didn't really care. I was looking at the match.
I know you're watching the whole thing, but it is fun. It's always fun to see them live. If you can go to these independent wrestling matches, there's a ton of them in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott touched on a few of them. There's probably, I know of at least four.
The midgets and well, that's politically incorrect now.
It's not, I don't think they call it midget wrestling, but they might. It's little people, right?
Politically incorrect.
Actually, I think they do call it midget
the
wrestling.
guy with the
Don't shoot the messenger, folks. I think that's what they call it.
And then you had the guy with what do you call the guy with the masks?
Oh yeah, Lucha Libre.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah,
that's Spanish.
Yeah. You were to see that.
I tried going to one of those events a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know it was $50.
Oh yikes!
$50 to go see independent wrestling league. Yeah. I thought that was a lot.
Yeah, that is.
But anyway, so we're just waiting patiently. We're going to talk about some more entertainment stuff. I don't know if our next guest has info on wrestling. I don't think I've ever asked him about wrestling.
I don't think he ever talked about wrestling.
Yeah, that's Rich G, our entertainment concierge. He'll be on momentarily. And he's going to talk about, he usually lets us know what's going on. And for people who aren't from Chicago watching this, he's more focused on Chicago, but he can answer questions about other theater districts. Like he talks about Broadway stuff in New York.
Yeah, he's knowledgeable.
Yeah, and then we've talked about Vegas, like the O shows. What do you call it? Cirque du Soleil, all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, I think he's ready. Let's see if he's there.
The old Richard G.
Hello, Rich. Wait. Oh, we got to press this button. There he is. Oh no. Oh! Is he there? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, there he is. There we go. Oh, I need to move the mic. Okay. Hey, Rich. How are you?
Hey, Mario. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good. We just got off the phone with Scott Squeaky's. I guess that's what he wants to be called now. Squeaky Scott. He's a referee for all these independent wrestling leagues. So what we were just saying before we got you on is I wonder what scoop Rich has on the wrestling world, like WWE tickets or anything. You know what events you do any wrestling stuff?
Yeah, we used to, but I haven't in the past couple of years.
Because there's some, I was just saying to Libby, there's a lot of cool events that go on. We just mentioned Lucha Libre and some of the other forms of wrestling, but there's one at the VFW in, what is that, Franklin Park, Illinois, I think.
Yeah, we went there, but it was
sold out. They were standing room only,
and that
out
was
the
way
door
before COVID too.
Yeah, it was right around COVID, right when it started. Yeah. So they didn't want too many people in there.
They were fighting at several casinos prior to that.
Did they go do the casino circuit too? Okay.
I didn't know that.
I think, you know where they were? And Rich would know this for sure. They were at Hammond at the Horseshoe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I think they do.
I was right there with them, Mario.
Yeah, and they do MMA fighting stuff there now still, I think. Not wrestling, though. But anyway, so what's going on, Rich? What do you got to talk about on the weekend here in probably mostly Chicago stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not just Chicago. It's Chicago and all the surrounding areas around Chicago that are part of Chicago.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Let me clarify for the audience. Rich can tell you Midwestern area, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. That's better. There we go. But mostly Chicago.
Well, we do get to some of the shows in Milwaukee and some of the shows in Indiana.
I mean, Horseshoes in Hammond.
But the fact is, it's out where I'm at, I'm as close to Hammond as I am to downtown Chicago.
Yeah, that works.
And that's a little bit closer. In any event, I consider all the Chicago suburbs part of the Chicago theater scene as well.
Me too. You know what we haven't talked about in forever is what's going on in that Oakbrook venue over there, Oakbrook, Illinois, in Drury Lane. Do you still get info on Drury Lane?
Oh, of course. Drury Lane is a wonderful place.
It is.
Wonderful shows.
It's kind of like a historic theater, too, the way they restored it. It looks really cool. It's like a ballroom in there.
Oh, it's great.
You've been there, Mark?
And they've got dinner theater.
Let's talk about a few of the things that are playing right now.
Yeah, no, I've been to Oakbrook. I've been to Drury Lane.
Wow.
We know the old owners. He used to have a place down in 95th Street in Oak Lawn. I forget what it was called. Rich would know. What was his other theater called down there in the south suburbs? Martinique. I just thought of it. I got it for you, Rich. It's the Martinique.
Oh, man, I don't remember.
That was the restaurant banquet hall attached to Martinique.
Yep. And that was what I guess he ran that too, because I remember seeing shows there. But anyway, so what's going on, Rich? What do you got for us?
Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about what's going on in Chicago itself. You've got a magic show out at a relatively new place, relatively new theater, Rhapsody Theater. It's up on Morse Avenue. That's way the north side of Chicago.
I used to live over there. Yes.
Yeah, I think Libby knows what that is.
Yeah. Morse Avenue. Yes.
Where's what?
It's in Rogers Park.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know what park it's called. I'm a park guy myself. I spent a lot of time in Highland Park, in Lincoln Park.
Rich likes the parks.
Park.
Anyway, so that's a new theater. We think it's in what did it now what we say?
Morse Avenue and Rogers Park.
Oh, they're doing magic. They do a ton of magic out there. You got
ton of magic.
You got the physician magician. He's actually a doctor, and he's from Spain. So he's the physician musician, and I call him Dr. Magic.
Dr. Magic. Okay.
And he does some shows in since he's from Spain, he does some shows entirely Spanish.
Cool. And he's
in any event, there are different magicians there on a weekly basis, and most of their shows are on the weekends. Some in the middle of the week, but they're all magic shows, and it's really a neat place to go. Everybody that's been there has loved it.
If you literally want to disappear, you go to the magic show on the north side of Chicago. There we go.
Never come home.
Or
come
you
back.
go downtown to the Goodman Theater and see my friend
Goodman
Jenkins over there. He's doing a wonderful thing over there in the Goodman Theater in that restaurant right next to the Goodman. It's part of the Goodman Theater though.
That's not a magic show?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Boy,
it's called the Magic Parlor.
Oh, got it. Cool. Boy, you can go a bunch of places. Want to do some tricks, see some tricks. I mean,
it's an intimate and truly magical experience if you really want to feel it. And it's well worth going there to see that as well. But that's magic in Chicago. And with the advent of the TV shows on magic, a lot of people are really interested in it nowadays. Well, let's talk about a couple of
like Penn and Teller. They do the bull crap one. I won't say the real name. Yep, they got a lot of people interested because they kind of they call people out on the trickery, like that's fake or whatever.
Well, in any event, Hell in a Handbag is one of my favorite theater companies, and they're doing Poor People, and it's a musical comedy world premiere, and that's at the Chopin Theater, and that's in the heart of the city on Division Street, Division near Milwaukee Avenue. And that's been extended till the 23rd of this month, but they've always got something neat going. And this is a theater company that's just fun. It's a musical comedy, and I wouldn't miss them if you ever get a chance to see a show by Hell in the Handbag.
They're not doing magic.
No, they're not doing magic. They are magic. Let's see.
Great.
Let's talk about a couple of other neat things going on in Chicago. First of all, we've got Broadway in Chicago. And Broadway in Chicago is bringing us some top shows. Coming into Broadway in Chicago is at the Cadillac Theater is Back to the Future. We talked about that on a personal level. You want to really go to see that show? Huh?
Oh yeah, that's coming. We got that one in September, I think.
No, that's August.
Oh, good. So it's only a little over a month away.
From August, Back to the Future is from August the 13th to September the 1st, and right after that is Harry Potter at the Nederlander Theater. And that's from September the 10th to the February the 1st. That's a relatively long run for a play in Chicago.
That is. And then both of them are near each other. They're both near each other because of the Broadway and Chicago thing, right? Aren't they right in that little strip?
And that's Broadway in Chicago.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. Then some of the other theaters that are outside of the downtown area in Chicago would be Skokie. Now, Skokie has the Skokie Theater. On the 21st of this month, which is today, they opened Grease.
Oh, nice.
That's going to run through July.
You never even
20th.
saw Grease.
What's that?
You
Yeah,
never even
the
saw
Skokie-
Grease, Mar.
I did. I've never seen the whole thing, but I've seen most of it.
Yeah.
And
You're the
that's
one
at
that I
the
love,
Skokie-
you know? I love Libby.
And
Anyway,
that's-
sorry. It's Grease at the Skokie Theater, right, Rich?
It's at the Skokie Theater. They also have running at this time The Lightning Thief, a Percy Jackson musical. That's going to July the 28th.
Oh, cool.
Same amount of time as the others, as Grease is.
Is
So you got two
Skokie
shows
Theater
at the Skokie-
is Skokie
two
Theater
shows
the
at the
one
Skokie Theater.
where is
Yeah,
that's the
that's it.
one that's in like the hotel, right? Isn't there a hotel right next to it? I'm trying to think. I think we've been there before, haven't we, Libby?
We're thinking of the Music Theater Works at the Center for Performing Arts.
That is the one I'm
Yeah.
thinking of.
The
We went
Performing
there, yeah.
Arts in Skokie.
So what's going on over there? As long as I brought it up, you know, got something for them?
On August the 8th, they're opening Carousel.
Oh, nice. That's the
So
theater,
February.
Music Theater Works, Libby. I couldn't think of the
Yes.
name.
We've been there.
We almost
Music
died
Theater
making it
Works.
to that theater.
That's Music Theater Works, and that's in Skokie. And that show will open on August the 8th and run to August the 18th. And let's see.
That's a big- you know, look at all this stuff. Magic, the Back to the Future. I mean, big shows come here to Chicago. We don't have to be New York City Broadway.
We haven't even covered.
Mhm.
We haven't even covered Mary's Wedding at the Oil Lamp Theater in Glenview. We haven't had time to tell you about Bluey, the big play, the stage play in Waukegan.
What's the name of it?
That's
Bluey.
called Bluey, the big play. Bluey's big
It's a
play.
Disney character.
Bluey is ask any kid
Mhm.
of the ages from 2 to 5 years old, and they'll tell you who Bluey is.
They'll know. Okay, because I was going to say, I don't
They
think I know.
who Bluey is.
Cool.
He's one of their favorite characters. He's a Disney character, and I didn't know. I see Bluey almost every night because I turn on the TV and it already defaults to if I'm not at a theater, I'm watching TV.
And you're watching the Disney Channel?
No, but the theater when my TV is turned off and it's turned back on, it defaults to a show or wherever Bluey the character is coming. He's a Disney character. Bluey is a female, by the way.
Oh, got it. Okay. You know what?
And
My niece and
that's
nephew are
okay.
older, and Libby's girl is much older, so we don't know Bluey. That's a new guy, or new girl, excuse me.
Mhm.
And that's again, Buseta Theater again. I interrupted you.
It's cool. And then at Theater UBK, that's in Evanston. You got Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music until July the 14th. That's a great show.
Wait, where was Bluey at? Back up a second. Where was Bluey playing at again?
Bluey is at in Waukegan, and in Waukegan at the
Was it Genesee?
Oh, at the
Genesee
Genesee Theater? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we got to get up there and see some
Theater.
stuff.
And they're the ones that, and Genesee brings us a lot of everybody from the Beatles to the various comedians. A lot of their shows at the Genesee are concerts and like the Beatles and whatever, not the actual Beatles.
Yeah,
but,
tributes. Yeah.
Tribute bands.
It's a great little theater in Waukegan. I would have never known about it before Rich sent us there. So thank you, Rich.
Yeah.
Rich G,
Yeah,
your entertainment concierge.
I'll always tip you off as the newest and little theaters that you wouldn't know about unless you were there or lived next door to it.
Well,
Right.
I didn't mean to cut
Wonderful
you off.
things.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were saying something about we got a couple of minutes left. The Theater UBK or something. What was that one?
Oh, that's Theater UBK is in Theater UBK is in Evanston.
Oh, Evanston. Okay. Got it.
And Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music till July the 14th.
Cool. Look at this. I mean, if we could go on and on and on. We only got a couple more minutes. You got a few left that we could end with, and then I'd like you to do your sign off.
Oh, yeah. You cut me off whenever you want. First of all, let me tell you about the Court Theater. To the south suburbs, that's the closest theater around. It takes me easier to get to the Court Theater than any other theater in the city of Chicago for me. Court Theater has East Texas Hot Links, and that'll open in September. And that's a gripping character study, a lyrical masterpiece, a portrait of a community. It's
Interesting.
1955, East Texas. Racial tensions are high.
Oh boy.
It's a fun show.
Getting a little controversial here in the week of Juneteenth.
And that's at the Court Theater, and that's and it's right at the 55th and Ellis at the University of Chicago territory.
Oh, that's like the Hyde Park area, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Well, what about before we go? We're almost ready to sign off, but I want you to do your famous sign. But before we go, tell us a little bit about Rich G and TSP. Your productions, your company. What else can you offer besides the theater reviews?
Oh my God, I can offer you almost anything, Mario. I've got a service-orientated thing going where I'll trade for some of my advertising availabilities. I'll trade with other people that are doing services, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, whoever's got something that's not costing them a hell of a lot of money.
Great.
I'll do some trading with them.
What
And
about like
because
hotel
of that-
stays? How about hotel stays and airline tickets? Can you hook up people with that?
Sure.
Great.
Right now, they people are looking for all sorts of advertising availabilities, and I offer it to them. And in trade for that, I get some theater tickets back from them and some other things like, for example,
Awesome.
not only doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs. Maybe you're going to need an accountant.
Oh yeah, I actually do. I got to call him off the air, huh? So they can find you at before you do your sign off. They can find you at 312. Well, they can call you, I guess. 312-661-1975. Again, 312-661-1975, and just ask for Rich, your entertainment concierge, and he's going to hook you up. And he'll tell you about all the theater stuff too, right, Rich?
Not only theater stuff, but also things like miniature golf, things like Santa's Village for the kids, bikes.
Love it.
My friend has a bike repair shop. He sells the new e-bike. I can get you e-bikes. I can get you laptops.
Look at this stuff. Everybody, give Rich a call, 312-661-1975. And like I said, he's got the hookup. That's Rich G, your entertainment concierge. And I like you to do your sign off, Rich, if you wouldn't mind. We're about to go off the air. So why don't you say goodbye to everybody?
No problem. Hey, old bean, and you too, baby. This is Rich, your entertainment concierge, signing off. And until next time, stay cool.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
And everybody, you have a good one. Oh, we lost our lights. That means it's the end of the show here. Libby, thanks for being with us. Scott Squeaky Skarupa. I don't know if he wants to say his last name, but he did. Also, thanks to Earl and Wanda for helping us out. And we're gone. Yeah, no, we're good without the lights. We're saying goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I didn't know the lights would go off. Whoops. At a certain time.
It's a sensor.
Oh, I should have turned this one.